Love, have you ever pondered the nature of creativity? Specifically, does pure originality truly exist?
Oh, good. You mean the idea that someone could come up with something completely new, without any influence from anything else? That's a big question.
It is, indeed. Creativity, as a concept, has fascinated humanity for centuries. It's the ability to bring forth ideas, inventions, or art that didn't exist before. But the question of pure originality, whether something can be entirely new and uninfluenced by anything else, has always been a bit of a paradox.
So, where did this whole idea of creativity start? Why does it happen that people became so interested in originality?
The roots of creativity can be traced back to ancient times, when humans first began to innovate. Think of early humans discovering fire, creating tools, or painting on cave walls. These were groundbreaking acts of creativity, born out of necessity and curiosity. As societies developed, the concept of creativity evolved, especially during the Renaissance when art, science, and philosophy flourished. This era birthed the idea of the genius, someone who could create something entirely new.
Ah, like Leonardo da Vinci, but even he was influenced by what came before him, right? I mean, you can't invent a helicopter without first understanding how birds fly.
Exactly. That's where the idea of standing on the shoulders of giants comes into play. Every creative act is, in some way, influenced by what came before it. Even Da Vinci's inventions were based on observations of nature and earlier technological advancements. The process of creativity often involves taking existing ideas and combining, transforming, or reinterpreting them in new ways.
So, you mean that creativity is more about remixing and recombining than pulling something out of thin air?
Precisely. That's why many scholars argue that pure originality, in the sense of something entirely uninfluenced by anything else, is nearly impossible. Every creative idea is, to some extent, a reaction to, or a development of, what already exists. This brings us to an interesting trivia. The term creativity itself wasn't widely used until the 20th century. Before that, the focus was more on genius and invention.
Wow, so the word creativity is pretty new, considering how long humans have been, well, creative. But why does it happen that we still chase after pure originality, if it's so elusive?
It's partly due to our romanticized view of the creative. Genius, the idea that someone can create something wholly unique and groundbreaking. This notion became especially popular in the 19th century, with the rise of Romanticism, which celebrated the idea of the lone, inspired artist. However, modern psychology suggests that creativity is more about collaboration, iteration, and building on existing ideas.
That makes sense. After all, even great inventors like Thomas Edison didn't work in a vacuum. He had a whole team, and many of his inventions were improvements on earlier designs.
Exactly. Creativity often involves a communal process, where ideas are shared, critiqued, and developed. This is why collaboration and feedback are so crucial. It's also why the idea of pure originality is so tricky. No one creates in a bubble. Every idea is part of a larger conversation.
So, creativity is more like a conversation with the past and present rather than a sudden flash of genius. I like that. But what about modern-day creatives? You mean to say they're just remixing old ideas?
In a way, yes. But that doesn't diminish their creativity. Think of it like cooking. You might use ingredients that have been around for centuries. But how you combine them, season them, and present them can create something entirely fresh and exciting. The same applies to creativity. Even if the components aren't entirely new, the way they're put together can be.
So, in the end, Creativity is less about inventing something from nothing, and more about seeing connections that others might not. That's kind of reassuring. It means we all have the potential to be creative.
Exactly, love. Creativity isn't about being the first to think of something. It's about seeing the world in a new way and expressing that vision uniquely. Pure originality may be a myth, but that doesn't mean creativity isn't real or valuable. It's the act of making something personal, something that reflects your unique perspective.
So, maybe instead of chasing pure originality, we should focus on being true to ourselves and our experiences. After all, no one else can see the world exactly the way we do.
That's a perfect conclusion. Love. Creativity is about bringing your unique lens to the table, even if the ideas themselves have been around in some form before. So, let's keep creating, remixing, and reimagining the world around us.
Agreed. Good. Now, I'm feeling inspired to try something new. Maybe I'll start with a creative twist on dinner tonight.